It looks like we have a countdown that we are live. A little late. Maria's asked me if everything's okay. She just texted me. But yeah, everything's okay. Just had to stop and get a little bit of fuel. It took a little longer than I thought. And we are, I believe, live. Let me check some other stuff here real quick, so I can figure that out and just make sure. We're sitting in Holyoke, Colorado, waiting on storms to fire. And this still says we're not live. So let me check some things out. Now I see that we are. See if we have sound. See if we have sound. And there we have sound. So, yeah, we're sitting in Holyoke, Colorado, kind of like a slow start like the other night. Storm's a little slow coming off that higher terrain, but now that they're getting out here a ways, they're kind of starting to pop off a little bit. A couple of mesocyclone discussions that we're going to go over here really quick, just a few minutes. In fact, we could probably talk about those now. Really debated on where to go because it's such a broad area of coverage. And I debated going up to Nebraska, and I'm glad I bailed on that. Doesn't seem like there's too much happening up there. There is a lot of just a wide spread out area of severe weather, an area that covers the Oklahoma Panhandle down to the Texas Panhandle. There's some big storms down there. I noticed a storm that just fired up down by Cheyenne Wells, Colorado. That happened like boom, just like right now. And it's got a severe warning on it already. And I mean, and that happened like in the last 5 or 10 minutes. So that's kind of what I expect these storms to do as they come out of like the Fort Morgan, Fort Collins area, and the ones up in Nebraska are coming out of like the Cheyenne, Sydney area. So let's take a look at, I'll show you the radar here in a second, but let's take a look at, first of all, let's go to the hazardous weather outlook that was issued earlier today for southeastern Wyoming, northeastern Colorado, which is us, and eastern Nebraska, concerning the severe potential today and a watch possible. The probability of the watch issuance, which we don't have any thunderstorm watch out yet, I don't believe, unless it just got issued. 10 minutes ago there wasn't. But the probability of the watch issuance was 60%. The summary of this is there's an increasing threat for severe storms by late afternoon. This is getting pretty late in the afternoon, so a watch is possible. It goes on to say supercell modes will be favored initially. That's initial development will favor supercell modes. Large hail and severe gusts of wind will be the primary threat. A transition to clusters of storms, which is what will happen when they get out on the plains. They'll transition to clusters and upscale growth through the evening, with severe gusts becoming the primary threat through the evening. A watch will be possible this evening to cover this potential. They've got the peak winds of 65 to 80 and the peak hail size 1 to 1.75. And Maria says in chat, she says, hello, Adrian. Hello. He's, I think, checking in from the Springs, getting ready to drive back. Be careful, Adrian, with the severe weather that's out there and the heavy rains. So anyway, that covers the hazardous weather outlook. We don't have to be in too big of a hurry here because these storms, we can see them in the distance when I turn you around, but they're just now starting to get going out here. Then a little bit ago, let's see if I can catch the time here, 6:03, it would be 5:03. So yeah, like in the last half hour, they put out a mesoscale precipitation discussion, and it was the areas affected central and southern high plains. Boy, that's annoying. I don't know if you guys can hear that. but it's the central and southern high plains concerning heavy rainfall, flash flooding possible. Scattered strong to severe thunderstorms will materialize through the early evening hours, leading to isolated flash flood concerns within more urbanized zones and flood-prone locations across the Colorado Front Range into the neighboring high plains from Nebraska down through the Texas Panhandle. And I've seen some severe winds down in Oklahoma, some stuff I was watching earlier, and a lot of brownouts. I mean, blowing dust, some really ugly stuff. And some heavy rains. So like I said, these storms are coming off of here super slow. So they're going to be dumping a lot of rains when they get going. Let's look at that storm at Cheyenne Wells. Severe thunderstorm warning, 1-inch hail, radar indicated, 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's radar indicated, hail damage to vehicles, obviously, right down in the Cheyenne Wells area. So they need to be aware that there's a storm right there. It's moving east-southeast at only 8 miles per hour, and that's what most of these storms are going to be doing. 60-mile-an-hour winds, 1-inch hail. Let's come down off of here, show you the two storms that we're looking at here. Put a couple of things up to flip you around here. And let's come down here and look at right down here is where we are. That's at Holyoke, like I said. This is up more in Nebraska, the Sidney area. That's got a severe warning on it. And then this storm right over here is just getting its act together, I think. And it's coming out like towards the Fort Morgan area. What we're going to do, I think, I'm not sure what highway it is. I think it's Highway 6. We're going to go west and just kind of time out towards these storms, and then we can drop south if we need to get ahead of them, because I expect storms to develop along here and move off to the southeast this way. So we've just got to get in position, which we've done, stay in position, which we will do, and see where that takes us. So let's see. Find that highway. It is Highway 6. It goes out through Haxton and Fleming. We can get out to, let's see, we can get out to actually Haxton, and if we want to, we can go south out of there. And that may be what we end up doing. Depends on what these storms do as they come off that higher terrain and fire out here. I'd really like to be on that storm down at Cheyenne Wells, but we're going to get a better storm, I think, up here. We're more in that hazardous weather outlook, that mesocyclone, the first one that they put out for the severe hail and the winds. I think it was more north, so that's the reason that I came up here. But I think really quick, I am going to wipe that windshield off, and give me just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better. And I didn't start with this. I should have, but I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday and their week is off to a good start. Maria, you should be a mod. That's funny. Willingly or unwillingly, either way, she's going to have to be. She said it's hard. It is hard to keep track of some of this. Yeah, and you're right. In the channel settings, you can set all of that. And good news, I have an appointment on Thursday evening with the guy that's helping me set all this up. We're going to make what I hope is the final changes that gets us off of streaming directly to YouTube, and we'll be streaming through an OBS platform through our home computer, and we'll have camera controls, we'll have overlays, we will have the ability to, if we drop the stream, which you're going to do sometimes, it's just going to happen, you're going to lose service. We won't dump the stream. It'll just be put like in a holding pattern, and we'll be able to get it back, and you might only be gone for 30 seconds, but we won't have to dump the stream and then restart it, which is just really not fun. But yeah, so hopefully Thursday evening that happens. I don't know what the severe weather looks like for the end of the week, but if there's nothing to chase, what we'll do is if that's up and running by Friday, Saturday, is we'll probably just go out and do a 2-hour drive through the country and talk to whoever wants to show up, and we'll just see if we can go lose service and see how the stream works that way. Adrian wants to see some tornadoes, and he thinks we can't do it sitting here in this parking lot. I kind of agree with him, so we're going to go down Highway 6 and see what this looks like. I'm going to have to take you guys right into the sun here for a little bit. As soon as we get back out here on the main road, this is the Phillips County Fairgrounds, if you've never been here. Kind of nice place. You can see if we spin around here, you can see that all those clouds and that anvil there in the background. That's the storms that are up in coming into like Sidney, Nebraska. You know, we've got kind of essentially the same thing going on down here. That storm that's headed kind of to the direction of Fort Morgan. Actually, it's not headed anywhere. It's just kind of stalled out and sitting there. It's eventually going to head to the direction of Fort Morgan. That one is the one that looks the most interesting to me. And I think we're going to go out and try to get in front of that and see what ends up happening with it. And truthfully, we might end up finding some storms that just end up popping up like that Cheyenne Wells storm did out of absolutely nowhere. That storm developed. And we might find that out here and end up going in a totally different direction. So we're going through the town of Holyoke here. I think it's a little town of about 1,000 people. Beautiful day here, 87 degrees and bright sunshine, but there's storms in the distance, so they'll probably be hearing some thunder and seeing some flashes of lightning here before too long, I would imagine. I would recommend that if you come through here that you don't get gas here. I just paid $4.86 for fuel, and I thought I better just grab a couple of gallons just in case we end up in the country somewhere. And we'll get rid of that sun here in a minute behind those clouds that you see directly ahead of us. That darker blue, if you can see, on the horizon right below the sun, that is the storm that's clear over there headed for Fort Morgan. clean that windshield for you guys, but I think I need to get a new rag or clean the one that I have because it kind of streaked it up and we're catching a lot of sun flares from that. Hopefully we lose that sun in a minute. God, you paid $502, Adrian? Man. I haven't seen 502 fuel, man, in a long time. Yeah, there's a cell that just popped up between that cell we were looking at coming into Sydney and the one down at Fort Morgan, and that was not there when we were looking at it 5 minutes ago. So I think that's what we might see, and that's what they were talking about in the mesoscale discussion, is that these cells were going to fire. They were going to just be popping up randomly, and they would quickly gather together, and that's what we're going to have out over the eastern plains tonight, is big clusters of cells that are going to dump heavy rains, possible hail, and probably be pushing a lot of wind. They've got special weather statements on 2 of those cells and severe thunderstorm warnings. I don't know how well you can see that. 2 of those have severe thunderstorm warnings, and 2 of them special weather statements. The cell that we're kind of watching has a special weather statement on it now. And hopefully they get their act together and start moving here a little bit. We're really close to losing that sun. I thought 5 o'clock was late to start a stream, but as slow as these storms are moving, 5 o'clock is looking pretty early. Hey, Adrian, that picture you texted me, that's coming out of the springs probably, but what direction is that looking? I would guess it's probably looking out east as those storms come out of the springs, right? They just put a mesoscale discussion just now on that whole southern area that starts out in Colorado Springs, and that mesoscale discussion comes up and even includes the Burlington area and all the way out just east of Highway 50. So we are going to stop here for a second in a minute when we get up to this little town. I don't know what this is. We're going to stop and see what that mesoscale discussion says. Because I'll tell you the truth, I'm still totally undecided about where I think we're going to end up. It very well might not be up here. It might be back down south. We might have to hustle to get back down there. We'll see what that says and kind of make a decision out of that. Because truthfully, these storms up here, just like a couple of days ago, they just look like they're struggling to get going. So I don't like reading those mesoscale discussions driving down the highway. Paoli, that's what this is, Paoli. So we're going to pull off here for just a second and see what that says. Say we'd pull off on their main street, but I don't think these guys have a main street. There's not a whole lot to this town. Actually, we're going to go over here. This is a better view while we read this. Let's see what this says, and then I'll take you off the dash here and show you where that is in just a second. Again, this is down south. It's south of I-70. It includes, actually it does not include Colorado Springs. It includes the Pueblo area over through Lamar, and it is a mesocyclone discussion. Watch probability of a severe thunderstorm watch of 40%. So they are thinking they're going to have some storms down there. Peak winds of 65 to 80, kind of like the mesoscale discussion that was up here. Peak hail size 1 inch to 1.75. And let's see what it says. Eastern Colorado into far western Kansas. Watch is possible, 40%. Some threat exists for severe wind and hail with ongoing storms. Convective trends are being monitored for the need of a weather watch issuance. Multiple supercells and multicells, which is supercells that are clumped together, have matured over eastern Colorado the past few hours. And let's see, they go on and on. Severe wind and hail may accompany the stronger storms, but it is currently unclear how widespread severe coverage will be. Nonetheless, convective trends will continue to be monitored for the need for a severe thunderstorm watch. So they're not really sure either. And if the Weather Service isn't sure, then I don't know how I could be sure. But I'll show you where that is. Let's take this down off of here. This is I-70 that runs along here. Pueblo down here, and then this runs back off kind of into Kansas, into western Kansas. This is Burlington. This is that store at Cheyenne Wells, and then there you can see other storms like starting to fire up down there. The storms up here, I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. The storms up here that we're on, you can see us over here. These aren't as severe. They've lost 2 of the warnings that were on them, and just like a couple of nights ago, the storms out of Lyman, they just are having trouble getting it together. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with this. We're just going to have to be patient and see what they do, and our patience may wear thin, and we may just blast south and see if it's better down there. I still think we give this Fort Morgan storm a little bit of time, though. I just wish it was moving. It's just sitting there. It's just not doing anything. Yeah, Adrian says that storm he texted me a picture of it. Yeah, and he was looking southeast, so that's probably the storm down in the Cheyenne Wells area that we're watching down there. Man, I'd really like to be on that one. That's a good looking storm down there. But again, they're so widespread that the Weather Service doesn't even know where to put a watch on. So I'm not sure yet. We are just going to have to be patient with these. No other choice. But in the meantime, we've at least lost the sun here. Yeah, somebody asked about Missouri, and I don't think there's any severe weather in Missouri today. And as far as I know, I haven't looked very close, but I don't believe that there's anything forecast from Missouri today. Looks like maybe some light showers up in the northeast, but that's about it. I noticed the Goodland radar is down for whatever reason. I wonder what that is. Guyman, Oklahoma, down into the far northwest corner of the Texas Panhandle. There's a little line of storms that are going down there, but they've just got severe weather statements on them right now. Okay, and that Fort Morgan storm, they just put a severe thunderstorm warning on it. That was the one that I favored out of all of these. Don't ask me why, but I just did. They did put a severe thunderstorm warning on it. I'll read that for you. Northern Morgan County in northeast Colorado. At 5:32, a severe thunderstorm is located 6 miles north of Weldona, or 16 miles northwest of Fort Morgan. moving southeast at 25. So that storm has picked up the pace because it wasn't even moving earlier. In fact, it had indications that it was actually moving northwest. It was going so slow, it was going backwards. Hazards are 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Fort Morgan, Brush, Weldona, Jackson Reservoir, if you know where any of that is, are all in that warning. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get back on the highway. The sun's behind those clouds now, so we won't have that horrible picture anymore. We're going to go to Haxton. We're going to go south. There's a Highway 59 that runs out of there, and it goes down to Yuma. That takes us right in front of that cell coming out of Fort Morgan and Brush. And if it's moving 25 and we take that south route, we'll be able to get in front of that storm, and hopefully it matures by the time it gets down there. It also takes us to Yuma, and it takes us closer to that new mesocyclone discussion area that is just south of I-70. So if nothing else, if that Fort Morgan storm doesn't turn into anything, or we can't get on it for whatever reason, then we can always blast further south, and before it gets dark tonight, maybe have a chance of getting on something possibly even south of Interstate 70. And somebody said, is that chickens on the right? I have no idea. Let's go find out. We have to know. Because the other night we had turkeys on the stream, so if we get chickens, that would really be something. We might have to change the name of the channel. That is chickens. We have confirmation on chickens. I'd show you, I'd get a close-up of those, but they're a little far out, but it is definitely chickens. Wild birds and storm chasing. Who else does that? Okay, so back on Highway 6, headed west. You can see those storms in the distance there. That's looking to that newly developed storm right ahead, right in the middle of the screen there. That's looking to that one I told you about that just popped up between the Sydney and the Fort Morgan storm. It's just getting its act together. But I think we're going to concentrate on the Fort Morgan storm. Eventually, we're just going to have to make our pick and live with it. Which I guess is how a lot of things in life work. PDS chickens. Yeah, PDS chickens. They did look angry. I don't know why. They look like they were two male chickens. I don't know what, roosters? Is that what they are, I guess? Not a farm type person, but two roosters, and they looked like they had attitude with each other for whatever reason. I guess chickens can be mean. I've had a thing with birds lately. We were at home last night, and I was out back, and Maria was, I don't know what she was doing in the house, and she yelled at me, and something had hit the front window, and it was out cold. It was, in fact, it was on its back, and it was a red-tailed hawk, and you could tell it was a juvenile. It was fairly young, but I mean, it had to see the reflection of the clouds in our front window, and it smashed that window. And I mean, we thought it was dead. It looked like it had a broken wing, and we gave it time, closed the blinds so the little dogs wouldn't be able to see it. And it took about 10 minutes, and it kind of rolled over on its side and kind of started looking like it was figuring things out. And then eventually it took about, I bet, 10 or 15 minutes, and it finally managed to get to its feet, and it staggered around a little bit, and then it flew off. So no harm, no foul, I guess, with the hawk. But I don't imagine he had a good night. He probably had somewhat of a concussion. So we finally get to the point when we have overlays on the screen, at the bottom of the screen. What does everybody want to see on there? My idea, I'd like to have a little current radar that shows location. Yeah, location, there you go. And no harm, no foul, FOWL. That is pretty funny. But yeah, location inside the little weather box that, you know, would show current radar. And I'd like to be able to have it to where it would be zoomed in, and then randomly, I don't know how I suppose you can time that out where it would zoom out and show like the area radar. What else does anybody think? Temperature? Maybe, yeah, probably temperature. Maybe the current warning in that area. We could put a wild bird app on there maybe and show any birds that might be in the area. I don't think that's possible, but that would be fitting. They've issued another severe weather warning, severe thunderstorm warning on that cell at Cheyenne Wells. It's doubled in size. Man, that thing is really, really going. I would love to be down there on that storm. I should have guessed south instead of north. But who knew? I mean, we could be up in Nebraska on absolutely nothing, because that was my first choice last night when I was looking at models, and even early this morning. This is a really tough time of the year to chase, because you don't have any supercells that get going just seem to be short-lived, and you have to get on them right away. They don't do a whole lot. The weather's obviously not as severe as what you might find in April or May, so it's a lot more laid back, and the cells just seem to get big quick and then just disappear just as fast. So this is coming into Haxton, and this is, we have time. That storm's not moving that fast, so we're going to get in here and come up to where this Highway 59 intersects this Highway 6, and I'll show you on the radar kind of what I'm looking at, what that storm in Fort Morgan looks like. And while we're here, we will check out your gas prices at 4:30. I should have got a couple of gallons of fuel here instead of back there. So this is Highway 59 going down to Yuma. Get up here out of town a little ways, and we'll take a look at that storm that is of interest right here. And I'm not going to take too long to decide on that storm. If it doesn't start doing something pretty soon, we may just pull the trigger and just go south fast. Obviously legally fast, but as fast as we can. So let's pull off up here on a county road and actually take a look at the storm as it is now, and then take a look as it looks on radar. Okay. Get her off the road so we're out of the way. Okay, so that's looking across at that storm in Fort Morgan, and it's not very impressive there. I mean, it is a long ways away, so it's not going to look like a whole lot. That storm in Cheyenne Wells, it hasn't increased really in intensity. It's just gotten a lot bigger. It looks like it's developing more on the south side, and for whatever reason, the north side of that storm is kind of dying. The severe thunderstorm warning on ours is still, on the Fort Morgan storm, is still 1-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. You can see what that looks like on the camera there, and then we'll come off of here, and we'll show you right here is where we are. This is looking directly across at that storm, and this is Fort Morgan, and that's the storm just coming into Fort Morgan. There's a new radar scan right there, and you can see it didn't move much. It says it's going 25. I don't believe it. I don't think it's going that fast right now. It just doesn't seem like it. So let's see how that refocuses. There we go. If it really is going 20 or 25, and we take this 59 road down south, we'll get to Yuma, and this storm will be much closer, and then we can head over like towards, if it's still good, if it's still got potential, we can head over towards Akron, down Highway 34, and intercept it right there. And up here, that actually looks like our best bet. So we're just going to take a road trip, and we won't have a whole lot to look at for a while. Adrian says radar and location. Yeah, those are definitely two. I think having temperature on there would be good, and I don't know what else. All right, we're off, headed south. Maria thinks we need a cool logo. Yeah, we do need a logo. I bet if we asked the art kids over at the high school, I bet they would design something for us. Yeah, it's funny, Aaron. It does look like it's green out here, but it is really, really dry. I mean, I think they get enough rain, and like, all the way down to Burlington and through there, even south of there. I think there's enough rain that it just kind of holds on to the green color, but it's really dry underneath. I mean, they're just not getting enough rain, and it's been so hot. It doesn't. You get a half inch of rain out in this country, and the next day, if you've got 100 degrees and especially a windy day, if you get a 20-25 mile an hour wind, which we get every day out here, it just sucks the moisture right out of the ground. Boy, that crooked horizon really bugs me. That storm is moving through Fort Morgan and headed into brush right now, so we might have a good plan going down 59 here and getting in front of it and then coming back to it. Yeah, some good rain in the fall in southern Colorado. I think that they're talking about this super El Nino, and they're saying that this El Nino pattern that we're going to go in, or that we are just now entering in, could be one of the biggest El Ninos in history. They think it'll at least be in the top four. And I think that the last time we had an El Nino capable of being this powerful, that Denver got 80 inches of snow that winter, which I don't know what they average. I'm going to guess 25 or so. But so they're talking Utah doing the same thing, the Utah mountains. So I would imagine southern Colorado and probably parts of Oklahoma, hopefully New Mexico and into Kansas all get that. I know last year, every year I get ready to move snow. It's just one of those things you have to do, and I had the blades out and everything ready, and I think it turned out that there was one time that I just brushed off the snow on the front sidewalk so the UPS guy wouldn't have to walk on it. I don't even know if I used a shovel to do that. That just doesn't happen out here. I don't think I've ever seen a winter with less snow than we had last year. And I've got friends in Utah, and they were the same way. Their mountains were as bad, or maybe even worse than what our mountains were. which if you watched any of the ski resorts, just how bad they got hurt on that, it was pretty terrible. A friend of mine, his son's a big skier, and they go up to Park City, and they were skiing on rocks and logs, and it was just not a good scene for them. Our Cheyenne Wells storm that we're watching down there, I told you it got much bigger. The top half of that kind of died off, and it's down just to a small storm. I don't know if that thing maybe looks like it's struggling too. The storms that are coming out of Pueblo down south, that far south, they're doing all right. They're maintaining, but they're not looking the best either. And our Fort Morgan storm took they took the thunderstorm warning off of it. They took the special weather statement that was on earlier off of it. They have nothing on that now. So the only thing we're looking at is the ones north of I-80. That there's 2 cells up there that still have special weather statements on them, and actually nothing in Colorado right now until you get south of I-70 has anything on it. So if that Fort Morgan storm doesn't find its way by the time we get down there, we are going to go really hard south and see if we can catch something else if it were to develop. There's a little blip of a cell that just started south. I can't really tell where it is. I can't get it on the radar that far, but it looks like it's just north of the interstate, probably about where Deer Trail would be. So we'll see what that might do. And as tough as it is to chase these storms this time of the year, it must be just as hard for the weather station to forecast them, because they seem to struggle as much forecasting as we do chasing it this time, this late in the fall, in the summer. But you guys that are in here, I appreciate it a bunch. Not a whole lot going on. I wish I could fix that and we could chase something exciting out here, but there's just nothing happening right now. We've just got to wait and see what does develop, if anything develops. But I do appreciate you being in here, and while you're here, if you would subscribe to the channel, a lot of big changes coming, starting as early as this Thursday evening, when we're going to make some major updates to this stream, and it's going to get good. And subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and we'll be doing a lot of chasing, severe weather chasing, starting back up with severe weather season next spring. And we'll do some winter chasing and some other nature drives and stuff like that to get us through the winter, to just to kind of keep things going. But if you have your notifications turned on, you'll be notified anytime that we do go live. And I also do, if in case you don't already know this, I do a breakdown of severe weather anytime it affects eastern Colorado. And we try to do that about midday, and not forecasting or anything, but basically just breaking down what the weather station and the Storm Prediction Center says is going to be happening, because a lot of times it's, for some people, it's a little too complicated to know what's going to happen. So we just kind of take their terminology and simplify it down, and just make it to where people can have a better idea of how the weather might affect them that coming evening, afternoon or evening. And we have plans for that too. It's a real simple setup now, just doing them outside, and we're going to move that inside and do those with some maps and screenshots of the predictions for the day, and that should get much better too over the coming weeks. Take you off of here just a second and take you out. This is the storm back towards Fort Morgan. So I know the view out the front isn't extremely exciting, but the view over towards Fort Morgan isn't right now either. So we just have to go find something that is. And you can actually see straight down the highway there. You can actually see that storm in Cheyenne Wells now. That's the cumulus clouds right above the highway there. That's the storm that's probably, how far is that? That's going to be crazy. We're Holyoke, which is 50, 60, 80. That's 100 to 110 miles away. Not a whole lot of places in the country where you can see a storm that's 100 miles away, other than out on the plains. Maria says that storm in Cheyenne Wells is moving south at 10 miles an hour, so it's barely moving too, and it's really struggling. It's looking a lot weaker than it was, but it's putting down some good rain, I would imagine, which is needed from them. Our Fort Morgan storm has blown up. It is all but gone. I would say that by the time we get down here to that other highway that we considered going west back at that storm, I would bet by the time we get to that highway that storm is done. It's chalked. Maria says chalked. And she would be right. I just have to talk myself into thinking I'm cool enough to say that a storm is chalked. Maybe I'll get there one day. So we cut back to the west here for a ways. This is what I call a county correction line. My dad always explained this to me, and I don't know, I suppose he was probably right. He was He was a salesman that traveled and saw all the farmers in the country. But when you get on a highway and you're going straight south or straight north, and all of a sudden you come up to a hard straight right or left-hand turn, and you go 3 miles and then continue with the way you were going, he said that that was a place where they had to make a correction in the highway. And so they did it on a county line typically, and it was called a county correction line. So there's a little history for you today, and right or wrong, I don't know, but that's what he said anyway. And he was a lot smarter than I am, so we'll take his word for it. The storms out of Pueblo have weakened significantly. A couple of cells some isolated cells out south of Los Animas, and I guess that would, I think that's around the Eads area, maybe. A couple of cells down there that are kind of out by themselves that still have something going for them. Right up here, we take the hard turn back to the south at the end of what is supposedly the county correction line. And then we'll be going straight south again. And we're going to pull over here. I want to show you something on the radar, what's happened to these storms, and then show you what it looks like down around the Pueblo area. Coming around hard to the south, that cumulus you see right over the highway, that's still the Cheyenne Wells storm. That's still kind of holding on. We're going to pull over up here on this county road and take a look at this real quick. Yeah, that Maria says that mesocyclone discussion down south still is good till after 7. So we're gonna look at that again too and see what it said. But again, just to jog my memory, we'll pull in here and get off the highway for just a minute and take a look at this. Show you a little rural farm history. We just as well take a country tour, huh? No storms right now to chase. We have a lot of this kind of stuff out on the plains, an old windmill and old barn. This thing's been around for a long time. One cow. That's old there. That's been around a long time. Okay. Get out of the way here and we'll take a look at this. I'm going to read this MD. Again, this is south of the interstate, those storms that we're watching, which include the Cheyenne Wells storm and the ones that are coming out of, let's see, that came out of Pueblo. There's still a cell south of La Junta, down south of Lamar, down by Trinidad there's a cell. We're going to look at those in a minute. But this mesocyclone discussion includes all of those. Maria said it's good till 7. It is. Watch probability 40%. They still haven't issued any watches. But remember, they said that they might not do that because it was going to be so widespread and so random. I don't think that they felt comfortable knowing where to actually issue a watch at. Some threat exists for severe wind and hail with ongoing storms. They're just monitoring convective trends to see what happens, what storms do fire, if they have what it takes to keep going. And just, yeah, it's like that. There's another storm kind of blowing up in the Cheyenne Wells area. So let me set this down here and let's take a look so you can see what I'm talking about. This is I-70 up here. This is that mesocyclone discussion we just read, so you can see how far south it goes. There's the Cheyenne Wells storm. You come down here, these are the La Junta, Trinidad. The Trinidad one's way south, clear down on the border. And Lamar storms, those are south of all of those areas. And those are the ones that are in that mesocyclone discussion that is still there. Where we are, and were, is up here. We are right there. This is the storm that we were watching over here that's gone now. And all of this is up on I-80, and it looks like it's dying too. But you can see where this line is up here. This is that precipitation discussion that we had earlier, where they said we were going to have potential flooding. And you can see how that's really filled in here with all this green, which is just rain, that those storms just turning into rain showers, basically. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening. We're, for whatever reason, just by the atmosphere, we're just kind of not getting lucky with whatever we need to have to maintain this convection. And I think that it just doesn't look that good up here. So, I mean, everything that fires up here is just dying. There's nothing left of the Fort Morgan storm. There's nothing left of anything in the northeast corner of Colorado other than rain showers now. There's a new storm, the one that I said was just a blip a little bit ago, that was north of Deer Trail, if you remember that. It's kind of blowing up a little bit. And I'll show you that. This is Fort Morgan up here where our storm just disappeared. It's just vaporized. It's gone. This is that little blip that is now turning into a little something maybe. We were going to go down here and catch this highway right in here and go back this way, but there's no reason to now. We're going to go straight south. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do is we're going to continue our country drive. If we see something interesting, maybe we'll pull over and take a look at it. And we will continue southward. Unless that storm, we'll keep going on this highway. It goes down to Yuma, There's a road through there that goes down to 36. And if by some miracle that little blip of a storm that I showed you south of Fort Morgan, if it manages to get its act together and become something, we actually do have a road to go directly back at that. If not, we'll continue on south and we'll see what we can get into once we get into that mesocyclone discussion area. So off we go. Destructive storm in Wyoming now. Let's take a look at that. Let me read that. That does look really good. I'm thinking you're talking about the Torrington, the storm south of LaGrange in Torrington, actually just north of Pine Bluffs. That's more people are likely to know where that is. Wow. Severe thunderstorm warning, 1 1/4 inch hail, 80-mile-an-hour winds. That's what these were supposed to be out here this afternoon. So, yeah, this is a destructive storm for Albin and Meriden. 80-mile-an-hour winds, $half size hail. So there are some storms around, but like the Weather Service said, few and far between. And that storm is actually entering into that precipitation discussion area. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to that storm being that powerful if it doesn't come into that area and just die off like all of those other northern Colorado storms have. So at any rate, we are going to head south. Country drive time. And I will see along the way if I can find some cool stuff for us to see, or some more birds or something. Hey, Jesse, apparently I'm just reading through chat here as we get back out on the highway. It looks like you live in Las Vegas. I'm just wondering what you might know about the Reno fire. The stuff I've seen on that Reno Nevada fire looks really bad. I hadn't heard anything today, but don't think it's a good situation. Yeah, that Cheyenne Wells storm doesn't have a warning, a special weather statement, or nothing on it now. So that's not a good sign. We'll keep going and see what happens, though, with that storm south of Fort Morgan, south and west of Fort Morgan, and it looks like north of Deer Trail. If that can find its footing and turn into something. Oh wow, yeah. That I was just reading Jesse's comment on the fires in Reno. He knows some people that live close to that evacuation area or in the evacuation area. Couldn't really tell, and it it is a bad situation. Those people need a lot of prayers, and they need some help getting that fire contained fast. It's been a terrible year for fires. It's like I don't think like anything we've seen in a long time. Most people don't understand how the extent of the fires nationwide. I mean, how much area is really burned up. I mean, I've just asked people randomly how many acres they think in this country have burned over this fire season, and most people, they'll tell me, oh, a few 100,000 acres. That's kind of their guess, and I couldn't believe it either when I heard it. And this is like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's a lot more than this now. But 3 or 4 weeks ago, the number of acres burned in our country was at 5.25 million. And that blew me away. I mean, you can't even comprehend how much land that is. The loss of property and lives and livelihoods and wildlife is just sad, beyond sad. I don't even know what to say about it. And then with all that's burned, if we get that, if that super El Nino or whatever they want to call it is as bad or as strong as they say it's going to be, which we do need the moisture, just imagine what that's going to do over all the burn scars. All that area that's burned, you're going to have flooding and mud, and it's just going to compound it even worse. That storm coming out of Wyoming we were talking about a minute ago, um, that was so severe. Torrington, I believe, is where it was, or LaGrange, one of the two. It was near Pine Bluffs. It's headed to I-80 now, and it's lost every bit of severity that it could have had too. I mean, it's still severe warned, but there's not much left of it at all, which is kind of the theme for these storms this afternoon. coming up into Yuma here in a few minutes. And I mean, I think we're going to go ahead and continue south. Like I said, um, we can keep monitoring that storm that's just to the west of us here and see what it does. And if anything becomes of that, we can go directly at it. We can find county roads that go that way, or go down to the highway and come back into it. But we'll monitor it. I don't have a whole lot of hope for that storm, though. Actually, with what I've seen, I don't know that I have a whole lot of hope for any of these storms. Yeah, that storm near Sterling, I agree. You'd watch that unless you knew what had already happened coming right through that area, which everything that comes through there just goes away. I mean, it just disappears. And yeah, an iffy environment for sure. I wish I was a little bit more of a meteorologist or had a little bit more meteorology knowledge so I could tell you what exactly is happening with these storms, but they're definitely not doing what the Storm Prediction Center thought they would, or what the National Weather Service said they would do as of right now. So if that doesn't happen, the next thing we can hope for is that they just turn into rainmakers, but I'm not even sure that happens. So, for lack of anything better to do, we're coming up on Yuma right now, and I'll give you a little tour of Yuma, Colorado. We'll just drive a couple of their streets and see what's going on in that little town tonight. Last year, Yuma and Ray, Eckley, a couple of these little towns here, they got hit by destructive hailstorms 2 or 3 times. I mean, going through Ray, coming through Yuma even, there were almost every house had windows boarded. And then it wasn't probably a month and a half or so later that it happened again. So I think they've had about all the hail they wanted for the last little bit. I agree with the stable air. It's nothing to really get them going, or not so much get them going, but to keep them going. I appreciate that, keeping the stream on. Subscribe to the channel while you're here. We'll get into some better stuff. Might not be this year, but we'll chase the last few days of activity, and then we'll get in some much better stuff over the winter and definitely into next spring. Not just chasing here, but Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. I go all over. So we'll get into some good weather. So we're coming into Yuma here. I think population 3,400, I read. Just another quiet eastern Colorado town. I'll show you this. It's kind of neat. A lot of these little towns are doing this. They're taking, I can't see how close I can get to this, but there's a couple of artists that people are hiring to come along and paint these little murals on some of their buildings like this, kind of depict their way of life. And this is Yuma, Colorado down there, sunflowers, windmills, old barns and stuff, farm animals, more sunflowers. Kind of neat. A lot of these little towns are doing that. There's I don't remember the name of the business, but there's like these 3 women that have turned that into a pretty lucrative little thing for themselves. Oh man, we have more birds. Okay, so we're gonna go see more birds. I'm telling you, we're gonna turn this into a bird and storm chasing channel. Maria said it started with 2 and now there's 3. I think with the women I was talking about that paint those murals. Okay, more birds. Here we go. We might actually have to get out and look at these guys. There we go. We have geese and a lot of them. It's just a little city park with a kind of a cool little lake here. There's got to be maybe 100 geese around this thing. Hey, Janet from St. Louis, Missouri. Thanks for stopping by. We've turned our storm chase into a rural road trip and combined it with, so far, chickens and geese. You can tell the storm activity might be on the low side at the moment. That is kind of a neat little pond. I've never pulled off the highway into this town. It's nice. It's nice and clean and peaceful. And there's a little girl there feeding ducks. I like this. Guy right here growing corn right in town. Straighten you back up there. We'll catch the other side of the pond and see what's over there. Who knows what we'll find over there. There's give you another view of the pond here. There's the pond with the geese on it and grain elevators in the background. I mean, it just doesn't get much more rural Kansas, Colorado type views than that. These geese are all taken off. Oh, there go all of those. Kind of nice. Storms down at Cheyenne Wells, they put a special weather statement back on them just now. 3/4 inch hail, 50-mile-an-hour winds. So, yeah, our storm that we were looking at is still holding on. The one that is near Deer Trail, just north of the highway. But I don't think it's anything we need to go after just yet, especially when we're going after geese. Yeah, they do have some nice trees here. A lot of these towns, I think that are old like this, they have a lot of trees. Goodland has trees that are beautiful, and they get like really late fall color out here too, being on the plains. So unless we get an early snowstorm and some wind, these trees will hold their leaves, and it can be really beautiful. Another building over here I want to go check out. I don't know what it is. We'll go find out. It looked kind of interesting. It's, like I said, I don't know what it is. If it's somebody's house, I think we just found the richest guy in town, but we're going to go look and see. We're in Yuma, Colorado. Well, we got to go back on that. Hang on a second. Let me back up here. We're on a highway, so I have to be careful here. When I start doing this, backing up down the highway, this is where Maria always gets really nervous. This is kind of cool, though. That's kind of neat. Burlington Northern rail car and a windmill, and got a bunch of roses and stuff planted around it. They got a lot of cool stuff here. That's an old caboose. Used to take up the rear of the trains. It was, I don't even know if they have such a thing anymore as a caboose. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. It seems like it. Main Street. We can check that out. We have time. We're not headed to a storm at the particular moment. So that is the Yuma Community Center that was there at the little pond. This is kind of coming up to I would assume their main street, probably. Okay, we got to go clear to the end. We're going to have to go down here and turn around because if we're going to see their main street, we have to take the entire tour, which starts a block or so down here. Whoa, let's go up here. I never knew this little town was this nice. We always just seemed like we passed by on a storm chase or going somewhere and never really stop and look, I guess. Okay, well, this isn't what I thought it was, so We're going to flip around, go down Main Street, and then probably head over to the highway and continue south here in a minute. A lot of patriotic stuff you'll see out here in these small towns on the plains. Notice there's a lot of flag stuff, a lot of flags hanging from the businesses, and a lot of flag type things on their poles back there. And still a lot of local businesses that look to still be in business, which is not the case with a lot of these little rural towns. These guys seem to be doing something right. Okay, we're going to go over. We have to go a couple of blocks west. See, we have to go a couple blocks west, I believe, or rather east. A couple of blocks east, looks like 4 blocks to the east, and we'll catch 59 going south again. There's a lady sitting over there selling watermelon out of the back of their truck. Highway 59's right up here. We're going to take a right and continue on south, and we'll continue to watch that storm. But I just don't think it's going to amount to anything. So we might have to just go south and hope something holds together in the northern part of that, where they have that MD out down there, which would be right on I-70. And if we don't see that, then we have to hope for a really pretty sunset. And we might get that. We get a lot of those out here. we're going to turn in here in this county road and take a look back to the west. It's kind of pretty over there off in the distance where those storms were earlier. We'll right up here, there's that road. We'll take a look at those. Drive down there a little ways. Get up here out of these trees and stuff. We'll just take a look and see what it looks like. That's actually what's left of that our storm that we were watching in Fort Morgan. That's what you're looking at right now, and there just not a whole lot left of it. There is a little bit, but mostly just rain showers now. Which is too bad those are falling apart like this, because they were talking some really, really good rains for this area, and they could sure use it. And it doesn't look like that's even going to happen. And you can kind of see right there is just the showers that are still hanging on from that. And then when we turn over here, we'll turn left a little bit. And this will be what's left of that storm right about there. And you can see there's just not a whole lot left of it. So we'll go back to the highway and continue on. Where is this? This is just, it's in Yuma, Colorado, northeast Colorado. Yuma's kind of just west of Ray, if you know where that is. Burlington's on I-70. Ray is like 60 miles north on Highway 36. This is just west of there. Not too far from Kansas. And Adrian is back. And Adrian's wondering why it's not raining or storming or something. We've turned this into a chicken and goose adventure and a rural road trip, because these storms just aren't holding together. So we're going to go further south. If you want to ride along, stay with us, and maybe you can find something else exciting out here. I don't know. We'll keep looking, maybe an old barn or maybe some different birds. Who knows? This is back to Highway 59. Make a right and continue south down this highway. This comes out down on Highway 36 between two really small towns of Cope and Joe's. So I don't know, maybe if we get down there in time, we'll take a look at those if we don't have any storm activity, which I don't know that that's going to happen. And right now we're hoping for a really awesome sunset. Did you make it back home, Adrian, or are you still on the road? Man, if we were like 40 minutes further along in the day with those clouds over there coming out of Fort Morgan, I mean, that would give us a beautiful sunset, I think. It's really nice. Back over here is what I'm talking about. Those clouds that are back in there, those would really be awesome if they went orange a little later this evening. I think we get sunset out here now at about 7:40, maybe. Oh, Adrian just made it home. We're going to take another look at this. This is just looks too good. And it's the only thing we have that's even remotely resembles a storm. It's over by Akron. It's a ways away. We'd have to go cross country, but we can't make it down to Cheyenne Wells. And let me see. Let's show you this. That's what you're looking at right there is a storm that's over by Akron. And I'm going to bring you off of here and show you this in real time. We're setting up here, this blue dot, and you can see these storms come across here. And you can see that storm intensify just a little bit right near Akron. See how it turns red right there with a little bit of purple? That purple is hail. And that's coming right across here. We're going to give that puts it on a path to come down here. It's not really worth going directly at it right now because it's just not that good. but it is getting a little stronger. It puts it on a path to get down in here somewhere, which we're going south. So we're going to get back on this highway. We're going to go maybe, I don't know, maybe 8-10 miles and kind of hang out there for a minute and see. We might even go back, pick a country road and go back kind of to the west and go at that storm a little bit. What I'm thinking is that it might not be a storm like really worth chasing for storm potential, but it could give us just an absolutely incredible sunset. And that's just not that far off. And the fact that the storm is getting a little bigger, it's getting a little bit more organized, is encouraging. It's got some now. And you guys too, if you don't know, what we were just looking at there is the WeatherWise app, WeatherWise radar app, and they have a free version that this is a paid version. I can do forecasting and weather models and outlooks and stuff like that on there, but they have a free version that's definitely worth downloading. You should get that, and you can bring up radar from anywhere in the country. You can animate it like what we just did, see which way storms are moving, and you can really keep yourself weather aware of the area you live in or that you're traveling to. And like I said, it's free. Put it on your phone, on your iPad. That's what we were looking at it on. You're on your desktop. And they, like I said, they have a free version and they have a version that you pay just a little bit more for, and you get a few other features. And then there's a full-blown version that's like a yearly subscription. But the free version for most people it's going to do everything that they want it to do. So there's some really good ones out there. I mean, I use the WeatherWise app just because I find it just works the best for me. But they're all really good. There's Radar Scope. There is, I think, Weatherfront. I don't remember the other ones. Weatherfront, WeatherWise, Radar Scope, a couple of other ones. They're just all really good. Boy, this road is a typical Colorado highway. Yeah, this road's so bumpy, I can't hardly read that, but I think Janet's talking about getting weather warnings and that type of thing on the free version of WeatherWise. And absolutely, you get everything that you would need unless you're forecasting storms or chasing storms with the free version of that. And I'll tell you a secret. The best way to learn how to use that app, if you were to get the WeatherWise app, is when there's like enough of a severe weather outbreak that like the big YouTube meteorologist would go live for, Max Velocity or Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is the WeatherWise guy. He uses I think it's part of his company. But the best way to learn how to use that is to get on their live stream when they're on YouTube, like for a tornado outbreak or whatever they happen to be covering. Get your iPad, your phone, whatever you've put WeatherWise on, and follow along. And when they're pointing stuff out and moving that around and they're talking about how storms are moving, you can follow along with that and it'll just become second nature, and you'll know how to use it in no time. Jesse is back, and we are now hoping for a really solid sunset, Jesse. And maybe a little bit of a storm that has a chance south of Fort Morgan. It might give us a little bit of sunset lightning, is what I'm thinking. That's the hope, anyway. And I know you can't see this on stream, but it's really pretty up ahead. I mean, such a wide angle lens. There's an almost full moon. I think it's full in a couple of nights from now, but it just in the clouds right above the highway. It was kind of pretty. So we're headed down here down this Highway 59, about another probably 5 miles or so, and we're going to turn back west and watch this storm. We might even pick a dirt road, one of the county roads, and go back at this storm as it gets a little larger and see what kind of sunset it gives us. Like I said, orange sky and lightning bolts, that would work for me. There's a storm chaser from Australia that comes out. He's been doing it for years, but he comes over here at the start of the spring severe weather season. He'll come over like in late March, early April, and he'll spend what would it be, April, May, June, July, like almost 4 months here chasing every day. And the guy's really interesting. But it was like late July, mid July or something, and we were down south, maybe even south of Cheyenne Wells, and he was kind of bummed because the storms had done kind of like what they did today. He didn't have a whole lot of a chase, but he stuck with it, and I happened to be about 20 miles north of where he was right when it was getting dark, and I was watching his stream as we were just waiting for hopefully a sunset. And he had the most incredible sunset I think I've ever seen. If you were watching his stream, if you didn't know better, you would have sworn it was totally AI generated. I mean, it was so cool. It was just these big orange beams just coming up, shooting up into the sky, and illuminated the clouds clear up over his head. I mean, it was just magic. So sometimes you just got to be patient. You just got to stick it out, and you just get rewarded in the end. And he definitely did that day. We were 20 miles further north, and we got nothing of a sunset. We just had clouds, and he just happened to have an opening in the clouds that lit up, and boy, it was something. I'm going to pull over up here on this county road and go through chat just really quick and see what this storm over here is doing. I think we're gonna put all of our hope in this one. We're gonna hang out here and, like I said, maybe even go a little west. Let me pull over up here in this next county road and if I can find this county road, they always, on the map, they look like they're closer than they really are. Okay, right here. Go up on this little ridge here and we'll be able to take a look at this. Okay. That is kind of cool. Let's see. Hey, I'm just looking back in chat, the Notorious WX. How could we do that? I mean, can you get me a personal message somehow about that, the overlays you're talking about? Because yeah, I need help getting this set up and finalized. I have a guy I'm working with right now. I'm not sure where we're going with this on Thursday and what he's got planned, but yeah, I'm open to about anything. Yeah, North Dakota, Jesse, has some amazing stuff up there. So does South Dakota, but yeah, it sounds like that was a wild day. And yeah, that is like super pretty. Look at that. I told you we were going to get a good sunset. Yeah, Jesse, no. Right now we're just streaming straight through YouTube, and that's been a lot of the problem. Is we've only been streaming for 2 weeks, and we're just kind of, the guy that I'm working with, he had some issues that he had to deal with, so we had to take a week off, and so I'm streaming directly just through YouTube. So I don't have any limited camera control, and we've dropped the stream if I lose service for even a minute. So we will be we'll be making those changes on Thursday, and it'll be a lot better. We won't have to stream directly through YouTube that way. Starting, well, we're going to fix that Thursday night, so starting on Friday, you'll see a lot of changes. It'll be a lot better. We're going to drive down towards this just a little bit. Maybe that next hillside. Yeah, and it is horrible streaming through YouTube, but I wanted to get something started. I knew I didn't have much time left in the severe weather season this year, so when the guy that's working with me, he had to take a little time off for some family stuff, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do this, and we'll deal with it the best we can. So that's kind of where we are. And yeah, it has been awful, but at the same time too, it's been really good because I just feel like we've worked through those problems. I learned a lot working through those problems, as horrible as they were. And I just think that in the process too, I've kind of figured out a little bit of what the streaming thing is all about. And I think, I think it'll just be a good learning experience having to go through something that was that difficult. Yeah, so what I understand we'll be doing, and this is, I mean, I know a little tech stuff, but pretty kind of limited. Well, pretty limited really in this world. But we're going to be streaming through OBS on my home computer using Moblin on my stream phone, and I'm not. It's magic, I guess. I don't know how. I don't know how it works, but I do know that it works, and we've got everything in place to make it really good. We just need to get the OBS set up, which I guess is like Streamlabs. But once that happens, yeah, then we'll have everything in place that we need, and it should be good. And it is magic. Yeah, I mean, I asked the guy that's working with me on this to explain it, and that's essentially what he told me. He goes, "Yeah, it's just magic." And you had no idea what you were doing last year. How do any of us have any idea what we're doing at all? I don't know. But it's fun learning. It's I've been chasing for 5 years, and just never really had even considered streaming. And now that, and I don't know why I did a month or so ago when I started looking into it, and just decided that why not? I mean, I'm out here anyway. I mean, I'm chasing for 4 or 5 months, and so decided why not. And like I said, just wish I would have done it 2 years ago. Now I think I'd be a lot further along, but you know, better late than never, I guess. I guess what I'm thinking is if you can stream effectively and somewhat effectively and do it at a reasonably okay level on a totally horrible platform, you can surely do something good when you get it fixed the way it should be. But if you have time tonight, check out my website, because this isn't what I do per se. It's I'm a nature and wildlife videographer, photographer, and that's what I've done for 35 years. So my website, we rebuilt that last year. It's got some good stuff on it, I think. drbphoto.com, like drbphoto.com. And there's a lot of good Africa stuff on there. And I shoot, specialize mostly in Western big game, moose, deer, elk, bear, just Western big game stuff. And there's just a variety of things on there. So if you get a chance, check that out. Oh, dude, thank you. I appreciate it. Check out some of the video that's on there. I was with an agency back back when there were still sales to be made in the stills world, and once that kind of started going away, I got into videography, and that's been about 5 years ago. And that's kind of my primary focus right now. I shoot probably 90% video and 10% stills, just because there still is a little bit of a market for video sales. And there's some pretty good video stuff on there. No, and your son and husband going elk hunting, that's awesome. That's part of it. I'm a hunter too. It's hunter reason that I can be a photographer. They support wildlife, and and there's a lot of money that goes into that industry from them that protects wildlife. So a lot of people don't realize that, but it's true. And so yeah, you shouldn't feel bad saying that. I hope they are successful. That's a good view of that storm right there. What's left of it. Well, I was going to give you a look at that, and I kind of got in this little road here that I'm probably not supposed to be on, and now I'm not sure how to get off of it. Yeah, that's one of the things I just really love to do, is to photograph lightning. It is, man, that's just a thing of mine. I love it. And it's gotten so much easier. Daytime lightning, there's some guys that do some amazing stuff with that. And there's the bolt hunter. If you ever do daytime lightning, the bolt hunter is a great tool for that. Works really well, and it just opens up an area that just was almost impossible before. I didn't know this was a private road when I turned onto it. It's just like a trail road. And so if you guys see flashing lights coming down the road, it's probably the sheriff, and this stream will be over as I go to jail. I've got to get up here and find a way to turn around, or I'm going to have to back all the way out of this thing. Yeah, once you get that bolt hunter dialed in to match all the settings in your camera with what's the word I'm looking for, when the response, it's not response time, but it's similar to that. Once you get all of that dialed in, that bolt hunter really, really is good. Oh, that's pretty there. That's kind of neat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for saying that, Jesse. I do appreciate it. And okay, Bria said there was no audio, and I just noticed that my mic had died. And rather than change it out, we'll just go with the audio on the phone, since we're kind of getting close to being done anyway. Yeah, what do you usually color grade your videos on? I just on my MacBook Pro, and then it's a couple off the top of my head. I've just drawn a total blank on a couple of the programs I use. Man, I'll think of it. And I'll tell you. I don't think we're going to get lightning in this. There's the whole view right there. We're going to step out here and just get a look at that entire sky. Kind of a typical Colorado sunset. We get some good ones out here. Oh, the bald eagle with the fish photo. Yeah, that was some old stuff. That was from back in the days of Homer, Alaska. We used to go out there to Jean. I can't remember her last name. She's known as the Eagle Lady. You can Google her and read about her. But she fed eagles there on the Homer Spit, and man, she'd just have just dozens and dozens of bald eagles there every day, and that you could throw fish at that time on the Homer Spit. And so we'd go out there and buy these little boxes. I don't know what they even were, a little 6-inch long fish frozen, and thaw those out, and you could put eagles where you wanted them. I mean, you'd have them circling, and you could get them to hit the water right in front of you, just throwing fish. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Jean Keene, that's her name. Yeah, you had to talk to her and then be one of the first ones there to be able to park in her yard. And that was a really big deal for people, because they'd get eagles like landing on the hood of their car, and it was really something. She was kind of a neat lady. And then after she was done, she was like grandfathered in to be able to actually throw fish and feed the eagles. And they made a law when that was over, no more feeding at all. So it ended the whole thing. And I have a friend, Dale Franz. He leads tours out there, and he's got places where he charters a boat, because you can still throw fish from a boat, and they go out and just have phenomenal stuff. Friends Photo. I can't remember the name of his website. You should go look at some of his eagle stuff. It's incredible. Look up Dale Franz, Robert Dale Franz. Google him and go check out his website. He's on a 3-month drive with his wife right now headed to the Dalton Highway. I mean, as far north as you can go. He's headed up there and then coming back, I don't know, sometime in September. Well, I'm thinking our sunset might actually not happen. That may be as good as it's going to get. And no lightning, but what do you do, I guess? Trying to find Dale's website. Yeah, there's Dell's website. I just typed it into chat. So yeah, check it out. You want to see some really cool eagle stuff? He's got the best. It's just super good. Well, guys, I think that's about it. I don't know what else to do here. We're losing what's left of our light, and the sunset, I think we've seen the best of it. So sorry about the storms tonight. I wish I could control that, but I can't. And all you can do is come out and try, and that's what we did. We saw some cool stuff, and I appreciate all of you that rode along and came out and checked in and said hi. If you haven't yet, if you would subscribe to the channel. And Maria says the storms are all dying, just some rain down south in Lamar, and that is the case. So if you could, while you're here, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications. I appreciate you coming out and just riding along with me, and as I continue to learn about this. And I can tell you one thing, it's hard to talk for 4 hours. So I'm gonna have to bring more coffee, I think. But Yeah. Thanks, Jesse. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really do. I hope that I can get content out that people enjoy and that they want to come back for, even if it's something like tonight where we didn't have incredible storms and we can just look at stuff and talk and just spend time together. So I appreciate it a bunch, and you guys just have a great evening. And I mean, there is a chance tomorrow. There's a slight risk in eastern Colorado, and it'll be more towards like the I-25 corridor, but there is a slight risk again. So if it looks good, there's a real good chance we'll be chasing tomorrow, and we'll schedule a live stream. And if you're subscribed to the channel and you got notifications turned on, you'll obviously get notified of that. And so have a blessed night. And again, thank you for riding along. And I just I totally do appreciate it, and I just humbled that people would want to come out here and watch what I do. And I know it's not a lot of people right now. It's 7 to 10 to 12, and it'll be more eventually. And I'm just humbled that anybody wants to. So I just appreciate it. Have a blessed night, and I will probably see you tomorrow or really soon. Have a good night. Thanks.